in living organisms. Our first topic is biological diversity. Now, biological diversity means variations or changes found among the living organisms. As given here, there are 1.7 to 1.8 millions of organisms discovered till, and all of these organisms are different from each other. So, there is a huge biological diversity existing in living organisms. Then we have classification, need for classification. Now, first of all, what is classification? Classification is a system or arrangement of organisms into groups and subgroups. We need classification for certain reasons. As it is not possible to study each and every organism, so we need a system which classify all the groups, and there is no way to identify organism without a proper system of classification, we know already. And organisms of other localities and fossils can be studied only through a good system of classification. So because of these reasons we need classification. Then we have importance or advantages of classification. Now advantages of classification tells us about the benefits of classification. First of all, the biggest benefit of classification is diversity. We can study and understand the diversity of living organisms with the help of classification. Then system of identification. Classification provides us a system of identification. Then other biological studies or sciences like biogeography, ecology, pathology, forestry, etc. These are the studies which depend upon the system of classification. So classification helps us to better study about the ecology, pathology and forestry, etc. Then classification also helps us to found the interrelationships between the living organisms and the species. And classifications, system of classifications also tells about the patterns or process of evolution. Now, in simple words, evolution is a process of forming new species. So classification helps us to know about the evolution patterns, and it is no doubt that classification also give us important information which is essential to study a group or a member of a group of organisms. Then we have taxonomy. Now it is a science which deals with identification, nomenclature and classification of organisms. Identification means to identify the organism or organisms. Nomenclature means to give name the unnamed organisms, and classification same as to divide or distribute the new organisms into groups and subgroups. Now, what is the basis of classification? The very basis of classification is similarities and dissimilarities. We divide the living organisms depending upon their similarities and dissimilarities. Then there are two types of system of classification: artificial system and natural system. Now, artificial system is a very basic type of system in which we classify all the living organisms based upon one or a few morphological characteristics. Morphological means the characteristics on the body level, and it is the oldest system of classification. Now we use in nowadays a natural system of classification. Now natural system of classification deals with the classify two living organisms which use a large number of characters to find out natural relationships of organisms based on their similarities and dissimilarities. So basically natural systems involve the uh, advanced characters of organisms like complexity of cell structure. In this point we look for the structural complexities of cells. We found that cells, whether the cells are prokaryotic means simpler ones, or whether the cells are eukaryotic or complex ones. Then we look for complexity of body structure. We look for organisms bodies, like some of organisms are only formed by single cell, which are known as unicellular, and other organisms like advanced animals and humans, advanced plants, are made by more than one cells, are known as multicellular organisms. Then we have modes of nutrition. We consider in natural system of classification modes of nutrition, whether the organism is autotrophic means made its own food, or heterotrophic means eat other organisms or other plants as a food. And we also consider the lifestyle of organisms, whether it is producer means plant, consumer means animals eats upon the producers or plants, or decomposers means the organisms decompose the dead or remaining materials. Then we also look for organization in plants. Levels of body organization of plants are used to divide them into various groups like bryophytes, petridophytes, and spermatophytes. And we also look for the organization in animals, if the organisms are animal. In this we study of development of animal body, organization of different body parts or body design, presence or absence of skeleton and specialization of organs for different functions provide basis for classification of animals. Then we have classification and evolution. Basically this topic tells us about the relation between classification and evolution.